Welcome to the Sleeping Barber podcast.
Ew.
Hey! Welcome back to another episode of our Barber's Brief. If you're a new listener, we use this forum to discuss what's caught our eye in the last couple of weeks. We also highlight a marketing moment, we get into a audience Q&A, and of course, out of the week. Mark, good morning.
V, good morning.
So much energy today.
There's lots of energy. I'm really excited about this. I feel good about it. I feel like this is going to be a real series killer. No, that's not the right thing to say. I'm going the wrong way. I don't know. I'm jacked. This is good.
Man, I love these I love these discussions. I really do. I always look forward to them, and I just can't wait to get into some of the crazy news that's happened over the last couple of weeks. So,
yeah, totally.
You want to kick us off?
Sure, I got a good one. So this is in Marketing Week. I actually saw it from a post. I think it was from Byron Sharp. Anyway, he had commented on this, so you could probably guess what his comment would be. But
I think I have an idea.
So there's a company called Bloom & Wild, online florist.
Okay.
And what caught my eye was that they're chasing profitability, which is something we say.
We do say that.
Which is good. And so, but how they did it was that they cut marketing budget and started focusing on customer retention. So insert Byron Sharp little thought bubble here. So you can imagine what he might have said. But so this is a UK-based next day flower delivery service. Mm-hmm. They also serve Canada. Over the last few years, revenue grew 2.5 times of what the pre-pandemic sales were. So they're doing well.
Okay.
This fiscal year, though, they lost $37 million year over year.
Ooh,
big number. So it's a 19% dip. In the article, it talked about how their losses were mainly in the first half of the year, attributed to softening demand as a result of pandemic. Changes in consumer behavior. Then they saw a marketed increase in profitability in the second half of last year, which they attributed mainly to cuts in marketing spend and operational efficiencies.
Sorry, I'm laughing. I shouldn't be laughing, but I'm kind of laughing.
Yeah, I mean it's like Q1 earnings season. There's a whole bunch of stuff coming out this week, so I'm imagining that there'll be a lot more of these kinds of stories coming up. What made things I thought were here's a series of thoughts. Profitability, chasing profitability. When we say it, I never think of we'll cut things to get profitable. It's different if you're trying to create a sustainable strategy. The cutting component is temporary, and I get that sometimes they have to do that because of earning reports and things like that.
Actually, just quickly, we apologize to Bloom & Wild, the CEO, who likely listens to our show, and he listens to the way we end our shows with go chase profitability. This is not what we mean, though.
Yeah, it's more just a clarification for us than a condemnation of somebody else. But so it's interesting because you hear this argument quite a bit, I think, where cutting budgets will reduce, cutting budgets. There's this line from Henry Ford: "A man who stops advertising to save money is like a man who stops the clock to save time."
Love that line.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Okay, focus on customer acquisition. Just as a mental gymnastics, let's go through this process for a minute. So let's say you stop all acquisition,
right,
in totality. You cut sales, you cut marketing. All you're focusing on is your existing customers. In any category, you're going to have your existing customer base, and you could land and expand if you want to think of it that way. You're looking at ways to upsell, cross-sell, that kind of stuff.
Right.
You end up in a position, though, where one way or another, you're going to lose customers for no fault of your own. Like sometimes people move. Someone might move from the UK to Australia where they don't have this, or Canada to the United States where they don't have this service.
Totally.
People die. Not that you want that to happen, but that is a thing that happens. So there's for a whole, if you're in B2B, businesses go out of business.
Yeah.
CEOs change, executive boards change. And so that might change their product mix or all that kind of stuff. So for a whole bunch of reasons, churn will always happen. which means if you're never focusing on acquisition, you're always going to end up having a shrinking customer base
Right.
over time.
Yeah. It's inevitable.
So to
It's gonna
say,
happen.
so it just is one of those ones to me where I'm like, I don't understand the logic of that. Like, I get cutting spend, and I appreciate that that's a tactic to drive profitability in the short term. But in the long term, going on a customer loyalty extravaganza and ignoring customer acquisition is just so short-sighted. I just don't get it.
No, I think you nailed the nail on the head. It's a short-term action, like a $37 million year-over-year loss. That's a big loss. So
Yeah.
of course you're going to have to take some of those drastic measures. It's just unfortunate because I did take a peek at the article. It wasn't positioned as, hey, this was just a short-term action that we're looking to try to get back to profitability.
Right.
As we still look to try to find
Yeah.
acquisition and growth strategies. It seems like, hey, we found a way to get profitable again, and we just cut our marketing budget.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Let us know how that goes.
Yeah. Anyway, V, what do you got?
Well, it's funny because similar to what you had, Tesla lays off its new marketing team months after launching it. So Tesla appears to have, this was reported in the Business Insider. Tesla appears to have pulled the plug on a short-lived marketing team. The company cut its entire growth content team, is what I guess the internal term of this team was. It's about 40 people that were laid off. This is also essentially a part of a lot of layoffs that were announced, I think, a couple of weeks ago by Elon. So obviously, the marketing team was not the only team that was impacted, and I think they're getting ready to report to the street here within the next couple of weeks. So it becomes one of these exercises. But what I absolutely hate about this, he went on the platform and he responded to a post that said, laid off staff could have done a better job with their ads. So someone out there said, Tesla could have done a really better job with the ads, to which he responded to say, the ads were far too generic, could have been any car Musk wrote in response to that. Like, I don't know, man. I know there's this big aura about him, but I think he would be an absolute worst person to be working for, knowing that he can make his opinions, he makes his opinions heard at any point.
Yeah.
And I struggle with like this approach here. Now, just one thing, Tesla still has a small group of marketing employees. They are based in Europe. Someone close to the issue told Bloomberg. So I guess it's not all marketing. The growth content marketing team, a part of the Tesla USA, has been cut. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, well, we'll find out what's happening with Tesla in a little bit. They were on a roll for so long, and now that there's so much more competition, and we talked about this at one point a few years ago, I think, where Tesla, for a long time said they had no marketing budget, which isn't real, because Elon bought Twitter for $50 billion, whatever it was. He also put a Tesla into a rocket and sent that to the moon. Which doesn't cost nothing for most people. You know what I mean? So there's a budget there. And so there's a pretty substantial budget there. So, but how they've been doing things is different than how they're doing things now. They hadn't been doing more traditional marketing. Their sales are declining. There's a whole bunch of indicators as they become more and more facing more and more competition. There's more and more ads and pressure and sales and options for customers. So there's a whole bunch of things that are part of that. I kind of feel like, as far as his comment was, you could have done a better job with the ads. Maybe you could have done a better job coaching them. Like, I don't know. Who am I to say? He's not that guy. He's pretty successful. He's smart. But I don't know. I mean, compared to what? Done a better job of ads compared to what?
And I would apply. I would venture the guess and just quickly like that comment that every car ad is generic could have been any vehicle.
Yeah.
I would say that's almost 80% of car ads out there.
Yeah.
Like that's not something new.
Yeah.
That's not something new.
Car driving
Insert
on a fast
Honda,
road or windy
right?
road.
The
Yeah.
swooping road, a windy road. You know, everyone's smiling in the car.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, that's every car
Yeah.
ad.
Yeah. It's a pretty common formula.
Yep.
Anyway,
What you got next?
well, I got this really interesting one. So there's this article I found. Forbes had a 7-year scheme to dupe advertisers.
Amazing.
And this is not like www.darkweb.com. This is like Forbes.
It's like the light web,
Yeah.
not the dark web.
Yeah. So originally reported in the Wall Street Journal, there's an article I found from Media Leader and then Analytics, who had done the original research, found that there was a website, www.3.forbes.com, which was a made for advertising website hidden from Google search. So made for advertising, this is a new acronym for me, an MFA. I didn't know that was a thing. Anyway, so there's MFA for them. And so the analytics team went and did some investigation. So they found that a normal, and they published this, and we can put this in the notes, but a normal viewing session on, I think, most websites has about 3 to 10 ads in an article, which is a lot when you think about it.
Totally.
Yeah. Viewers on the www.3.forbes.com site had over 200 ads in a single session. So this one viewer that it must have been somebody from, I'm assuming Analytics, went through one of those slideshows where they're just stuffed with ads. So they got 27 New York Times ads, the individual person through that browsing experience, and over 200 ads in total, which related for the Wall Street Journal meant that they were spending an average of $60.39 effectively for CPMs for that one person. It was pretty premium.
Bonkers.
Yeah. So hundreds of major brands were affected, like Wall Street Journal, obviously, Microsoft, GM, Harley Davidson, McDonald's, BBDO, Honeywell. There's a whole bunch of, and then all the major industry agencies also were affected. As of April 2nd, the site's no longer publicly available. So, I don't know. To me, it's just one of those things. We've talked a little bit about ad fraud, but you don't expect it from
key publishers,
quality publishers.
I'm with you.
It's weird. And so there's, I don't know. What do you think about that? And just in general,
it's disappointing. Yeah, first of all, it's disappointing. But the made for advertising or ad farms, sometimes they're even referred to. Essentially, they're websites that basically they have some content in there to be able to match, but it's just ads on ads on ads. I would never have expected like a Forbes to go down that path. I know the reality is when we think about, especially when you're buying programmatically, it's actually hard to isolate those websites. It's a manual process. You have to get, the reports where the ads show up. Then you almost have to go like one for one. And I'm assuming someone in the back end would have saw www.forbes.com. It's like, oh, it's Forbes.com.
Yeah.
It must be just a, subdomain or maybe something else. No big deal. Until someone actually took some time to figure it out. And there's more of that than you would expect. And it's unfortunate that it just takes advantage of the technology that is available to marketers. So anyways, it sucks.
Yeah. Okay. Bring us back up here, V.
Well, you probably have a few Meta products. Maybe, I know we chat on WhatsApp. I don't know if you noticed this, but they brought the advanced AI chat bot to all of its apps.
Yeah, I just noticed it in WhatsApp the other day. Yeah.
Me too. And I'm like, well, what is this? So Meta's introducing an advanced AI chatbot in all its apps, including Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger. The new AI search tool has been rolled out to help users in several countries, so including the US, Australia, Canada, and many others. The chatbot is powered by Llama 3 model, and allows users to access a generative AI assistant directly in the search bar of each app. So it's very intuitive. It's very easy to use. Like it's right there in part of your chat bubbles, if you will. So it was interesting to see how they integrated it. Now, the whole purpose of this is for users to pose conversational queries and access features like searching the web for relevant info, generating visuals in real time. So it's almost like I would call it like Microsoft's Copilot that they have. It's an assistant within the app. For Meta, the AI chatbot aims to be more useful than previous attempts like Mbot, which failed to gain much traction and adoption. So I think this is a really interesting example of how AI is now coming into more of our day-to-day apps, how we're using it, how we're engaging with it. And we just had a conversation, well, we just aired it last week with Connor around, what maybe the future of search looks like. This is the future of search right here.
Yeah.
Like it's going to become more, you're not going to a Google, you're not going somewhere else. Whoever is able to take their generative AI chatbots, integrate them within their apps as seamlessly as possible, they're going to win. And it's going to change the landscape, the query landscape.
I noticed.
So we're just seeing the start of this.
Yeah, I noticed something same but different on LinkedIn too. There's on every post now, there's a little star icon kind of thing underneath each post. And you can, I think it's predetermined sort of queries on like summarize this post for me or show me other stuff about this topic. And it, I think, is just pulling all the data that's been posted on LinkedIn about similar topics and aggregating that, and summarizing it. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to see. Yeah, like you don't need to go to Google search to look up something like, AI's impact on whatever. You just click the button below the post and then you never leave the platform.
Yeah.
Smart. Then you get more ads in there and then you make all the money.
And they get all the queries, right? That's something that was almost exclusive to Google, right? And I think this is what's going to be an interesting trend. It's like, oh, now we can bring things closer to intent, right?
Right.
So anyways, it's watch the space. More to come here.
Yeah. Okay.
The marketing moment.
I've got a good one, B, on this one. So case study. So, okay.
Let's go.
So I got a copy of a WARC case study. So for anyone who doesn't know WARC, check it out. There's some really good stuff there. Lots of really good stuff there. WARC, I believe, stands for the World Advertising Research Center. Anyway.
Yep.
And so there's a case study there called from Bailey's, which everyone knows and loves, the pleasure dividend. This case study won a silver from the IPA Effectiveness Awards, and it's really, really good. It's so it's really worth a read if you can get your hands on a copy of it. So Bailey's Irish Cream, as we all know and love, launched in 1974, same year as my birthday. Great things happened in 74.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
The world gave us Mark Binkley.
Yeah.
Nothing better than
and that. Irish cream. Not a coincidence.
And Irish cream.
So by 2008, so 34 years later, it's 147 markets. And up until that point in time, really was primarily thought of as a after dinner liqueur, mainly consumed at Christmas, mostly by women. And so in 2009, they started seeing a sales decline. By 2014, they were at 16% below their 2008 peak. So they tried to increase pricing to compensate for volume losses. There was a whole bunch of campaigns that they tried. Nothing was really working. So Diageo is the parent company. They also own Guinness and Johnny Walker. They do really good stuff. I mean, Guinness is like, as far as brands go, that's one of the best. So they have this thought, and so being good and being a good brand manager is about being good at committing to one big thing. So they're looking for this big thing. You could call it the big insight or the aha or whatever you want to call it, the big idea. After doing a bunch of research, they realized that Bailey's is part cake, part booze, and pure pleasure. So
I love that line.
It's kind of like adult treating. And so they take this idea of adult treating. They go, okay, well, if it's just that people know about us and buy a lot of us at Christmas time because it's an after dinner liqueur.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a general awareness about what Bailey's is. It's not the awareness of Bailey's that's the issue. It's that people don't think of it often enough.
Right.
So they build out this strategy that people just need reminders of when it might be relevant. So enter the idea of triggers or category entry points. And so they realize that you can run a campaign under this campaign platform of part booze, part cake, part pleasure, 52 weeks a year. Because you could pour it over ice cream, you could have it in coffee, you could put it in cake, you could have it at brunch, you could have it on the weekend, you put it in your milkshakes, you can put it on French toast, you can have it with chocolate, you can have it anytime you want to treat. And so what they also realize is that by expanding the perception or the after dinner liqueur concept to more of a adult treat concept, they increase the market potential for this from 71 billion British pounds to 280 billion market.
Oh my God.
So that's just the potential, right? Like a TAM. But now they need to actually execute on this. So they create a campaign platform for this. They have media triggers. They target triggers all year round. They increase share of voice with adults with this product. The campaign itself is one of the great things about it is that it's simple enough that it can be executed in 153 markets, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Because
versatile, right?
Yeah. So, and it's not, it's a light lift from the Department of light lift is a relative term. But anyway, it is flexible enough. It can go across multiple languages and cultures and all that kind of stuff. So what happened in the results? Between 2015 and 2019, they had a 23% increase in revenue. They had a 250 million British pound gross profit over that 5-year period. The profitability and the pleasure dividend, when I mentioned at the beginning, they actually calculated like a factor, like an index or indices, like a multiplier, basically.
A multiplier,
which they relabeled as the pleasure dividend. So because of this campaign, they were able to work that. They were able to brand that metric as the pleasure dividend. So, which was interesting because
I love that.
Compared to previous campaigns, they get an extra $1 in profit for every $1 spent in media. Previously, they were putting $1 in and they would get $1.50 back. Now they're putting $1 in and they're getting $2.50 back. And it's not
There you go.
It's not related to the category or in comparison to their own brand portfolio. Like this campaign and Bailey's outperformed the average Diageo spirits portfolio. And it grew faster. It also outperformed the growth of the liquor category in general. It wasn't. They accounted for price increases, discounting for volume, and they increased or increasing distribution in big markets, like because they were getting a big chunk of their sales from, say, the U.S. So it wasn't because they were increasing distribution there. So they accounted for all that kind of stuff. They also saw an increase in share of men who were purchasing the product. And so it was like overall an overwhelming success on this. And it kind of hinged on a couple of things in my mind. There's the big idea and the simplicity of that big idea and being able to execute that really well. But then also this other idea around triggers or category entry points, which I thought was super interesting.
That's a fantastic case study. And when I think Mark Ritson always speaks very highly of Diageo and the way they approach marketing and whatnot. And you can tell like there was a lot of method to their approach here that essentially took call it an aperitif, call it like a dessert liqueur or whatever. And really making it transcend just what was maybe a holiday drink to more of like an everyday drink, which probably doesn't do great for the waistline, but at the same time, the resounding results here are incredible to say the least. That's a great pick.
It's a cool case study for sure. There's like, I skimmed the surface of it, but there's lots of really great stuff in there.
No, it's so good.
Out of the week.
Did we have an audience Q&A? Okay.
Well, we don't have an audience Q&A. I mean, I've met with a bunch of people, and I've had lots of questions from people. We could throw in one if you want, but we don't have an audience Q&A question specifically.
That's okay. Come on, people, get out there. Start asking more questions so that we can highlight them. Let's just go into out of the week.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So this one hit my feed. I don't want to call it accidentally. I was just perusing the web, and it was there. And honestly, I love this one so much because it's coming from a Canadian subsidiary or a company. So this is Kit Kat Canada. They have a new ad out there, which is called, it leans on, have a break, have a Kit Kat. The funny part here is like they have an I after the A. So it turns out even AI could use a break, which is really interesting. And the inspiration behind this campaign actually came from some research that happened from Google DeepMind, which discovered that even AI can perform better when it takes a break. This sounds stupid. It really does. But I think it actually works.
I'm so curious. I really want to see the research on this, because that's crazy if that's true.
Well, here's what they found a phrase that was most effective in any query, right? So it's like, take a deep breath and work on this problem step by step. So that was part of the prompt that essentially Google DeepMind was able to find that allowed to create more space for the AI engine. So Kit Kat's agency Courage took that insight and connected it to Kit Kat's iconic tagline, have a break. The result, honestly, just more accurate answers. And I think it was in the ad, it showed 68% accuracy versus the typical prompt, which was only like 53. Don't quote me on the percentage, but it was something to that effect.
That's crazy.
And it's just by adding this prompt now, like have a break for your AI engine, and you get better responses. I mean, it's really clever. It's really
as
clever.
A brand thing, it's totally clever. It's awesome. Like, how smart is that? Yeah, that's so great. I'm just fascinated. Like, I was watching the video, and it's great. It is good. They use the branding. They use like the Kit Kat bar. They break off the top so it looks like a dot over an I. I mean, there's lots of great things in there. They use the red, like all those things. But it was just fascinating. Like, it kept my attention because I'm like, this can't be real.
Right?
I'm like, what? AI works like that?
Hey, before you respond AI, take a Kit Kat or have a break.
Yeah.
And then just be very thorough in your response, and it's going to be good.
Yeah. But yeah, well done, Kit Kat Canada.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. So what do we got coming up next week, Mark?
Well, we had Dale Harrison on, who you may know from his posts on LinkedIn. He's
somewhat contrarian posts.
Yeah. So there's some really interesting things we got into talking to him about. Yeah. So it's a fascinating conversation. I'm excited to get that out. And I think it'll be really good.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for that episode to air as well. Some really deep thinking, some great insights, and I think everyone's going to enjoy.
And with that, V, I'm going to go cut some budget.
I was just going to say, please don't chase profitability like Bloom & Wild did. Please don't. That doesn't help anyone.
I got a feeling we're going to hear a lot more about that this week. In the next 2 weeks.
I think so.
There's so many earnings reports coming out in the next couple of weeks. Yeah.
We should almost do a follow-up.
Yeah. Actually, we should feature some of that. Yeah, for sure. And we will.
We should.
Okay, buddy.
Awesome.
Until next time, have a great day, man.
Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. We'll talk to you soon.